What is going on, everybody? I am super excited, like I am for every one of these conversations, but this one is super special because we have a very, very special guest today, just as all the guests. But this one, I think we started talking like 9 months ago. We finally made it happen. So I am just super privileged to interview uh, the person down below. But first, I want to give a shout out to everybody in chat. I see y'all coming in. Severin, I see you. It is an amazing screensaver. So thank you, Severin, and all Severin. I appreciate our conversation. Sanchez, we made it happen. I remember you told us, Sanchez, bring Sonny on, and I said, I'm going to try. So Sanchez, thank you for the motivation to do that. Rouster, what's going on? Obviously, Rouster, we got some more Gaming and Orcs Must Die coming up. Ambi, always appreciate you coming by. Wit, obviously, again, Justin, welcome, Justin. Thank you so much. Stream Elements, you come and go. I never can tell. And yes, and he's in chat already. So, y'all, without further ado, and I always say that, but y'all really know it. This person needs no introduction in the cloud gaming community. Potentially the biggest cloud gamer there is, there was, there ever will be. We'll figure that out here in a second where he's going. But I want to bring on the one and only Sonny. How are you, Sonny?
Good. Oh my God, though, like that introduction. I am not special in any way, but I really appreciate that. Oh my God, she knows how to. She should be like the announcer at WWE, just bringing someone in and then just like feel all like good about themselves. I'm a bum, but I'm happy to be here. So thank you so much. You are amazing. I was telling her right before the show started. I've been wanting to talk to her for so long. She's amazing at what she does. This is an absolute honor to be here, and I thank you for all you guys here in the chat, and then of course the beautiful host here doing her thing. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sonny. That tearing up. No, but this is your show. Everybody knows it is always it's the guest's show. So thank you so much. And I think I told you before, there's some names you probably notice in the chat here, some Stadia names. We have Sanchez, Rouster, oh my God, Petter Games. We have
amazing
a couple
people.
Some, and then we have some who are not, who come in, Severin Evans, a couple other people, PC gamers, people who are just phenomenal as well in the gaming community. In your own words, Sonny, how would you describe yourself?
How would I describe myself? I'm just I'm honestly as in a gamer, as just a person, because I'm just a guy out there just living life to its fullest as much as he can and enjoying this ride in gaming, and I guess that's the best way I can do it.
No, okay, so very modest, just a Cage's guy joining this ride. Definitely okay. Well, we are gonna unpack that.
Okay.
We're gonna unpack that, and we have another one of your OG content creators, Ray, the gaming cyborg, is in the house.
Awesome.
Another one of
Ray.
So Sonny Cloud Gaming.
Yeah.
Where does the name come from?
Yeah, that one's, that was just, I think we used to be, you said Ace was on, so maybe he talked about it, but we started off as the Cloud Gaming X together, and we ended up deciding, hey, I'll do my thing here, you do your thing, and, let's see how that goes. And my name was Sunny, and I didn't know what the heck else to call it. And I said, that works, Sunny, and then it's cloud gaming. It's kind of like they go together, and that's just kind of where the name came from, and it's stuck ever since. So, yeah.
Okay, so Ace did talk to us. Ace is
Yeah.
a Shades of Purple alumni, we're going to talk about your gaming journey, how you got into content, how you kind of like landed on Stadia here in a second. Actually, when I say a second, probably a minute. I know we have limited time with you, so we're definitely going to get to it. But all of us who are gamers, we started somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
I think for me, it starts with Atari. But for other people, it's NES, and some people it's what did David Wilson say? No, it wasn't David. Other people, it's Wii U. The younger ones, they'll say something there. But for you, where does it start?
Man, for me that one's pretty easy. It started with me as I think I was 4 or 5 years old, and walking into someone's house and they had a Nintendo, and I think I started playing Mario Brothers, and I'll just never forget. I wasn't even 5. I was younger than that. And so it's one of those where you don't even remember because you're young. Typically you don't remember, but I remember the first time I saw a video game. I had to have been, I think, at least 4. I was at least 4. I think I was 4 years old, and I was hooked ever since. And it has just been like I started with Nintendo, played, Xbox, and went with a Super. I think I had a Sega at one point, and just kind of went through the generations after that, and just completely have loved it ever since, and always been my passion. Even in a time where, like in my 20s, where I didn't really have a career, didn't have anything, and I just knew I just loved to game, and this is what I wanted to do. And I'm extremely blessed and lucky to kind of be where I'm at, where I get to talk and cover gaming. And it has just been, that's where it started. I've never been able to stop doing it. And to this day, I don't game as much as I used to. You just become an adult, you have responsibilities, but it's forever. I've never once seen it since I was 4 years old as a single second of a waste of time, kind of like up and be told this is a waste of time, you can't do anything with this. Never seen it that way. And to this day, I say, hey, if I died today, and I'm pretty sure if you look at like my World of Warcraft / playtime or all the other game, it's probably more than 50% of my life easily, and I have no regrets for it because I just love gaming in any way, shape, or form. So
No, I think, and I know you always, I used to wake up, or I wouldn't wake up, but after my jogs, I would come and catch you on Sunday mornings when you had your show, that weekly show you had, and you always talked about this idea, things could be taken away from you tomorrow, kind of live life to the fullest in this very positive message. I
yeah.
think that is what so many people resonated with you on, is just it was always positivity and always about like making every minute count. And I think, to your point, gaming isn't a waste of time, right? Like gaming is definitely it's a great way to enjoy, like we're only on this planet for so long, and obviously
Yeah.
I think it's meant to be enjoyed. So if you can enjoy yourself with gaming, then why not? So
Yeah, and it does so much, even if it's just that time where maybe you're a little down. For me, like when for those who don't know, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2016, and I went through some very heavy, like, physical things I had to battle with, like some chemo that had me hospitalized and a lot of things. Gaming for me at that time was all I could do to keep my mind off, the things, and even the kind of like depression I kind of had, because it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna live or die. You just don't know until you hear the final word. So with that, or even earlier times in my life when I was a teenager, and you're finding yourself out, and you're on online and engaging with friends, and you make lifelong friends. I still have friends that I made to this day. I still talk to from 2004 who were on World of Warcraft, and we still talk to this day. So it's different for everybody, their journey with gaming, but it's just such a magical thing. And like we talked about before the show started, it's just amazing to kind of be a little bit of the pioneers in regards to my generation, the generation above me, just a bit older, how we're going through this gaming journey, and the kids today, they've grown up into it, and they have no idea that back in our day it was like something that, this is a waste of time. That's what I was told all the time from my dad. He never liked me gaming. He hated it. Definitely. I had a quick story. I saw my dad since before COVID a couple months ago. And I don't like to throw things in his face. He's my dad. You got to be respectful. But I threw that a little bit in his face. I'm like, Dad, just to let you know, I kind of made a little bit of a career out of this. And he's proud of me now. But it's like the things that us gamers in this generation, it's like, it's just brought so much to us as a whole. And it's just been amazing to see the evolution, and then now to continue to see the evolution where with our age group, and how we're covering it and how we're doing it and how we're still examples even for the younger generation. So it's really cool.
No, I definitely. Well, I think we've heard this a couple of times from people who are told it's a waste of time. You can't make any money from that. Just numerous things. And I tell the story about my mom, Mama Haze, who's probably the biggest supporter of my channel. But I talked to her before, and one of the, I wouldn't say she has a regret, but I think one of the things that she wishes she could do over is, you know, gaming is a way to connect to people, right?
Right.
And she kind of now looks at some of the younger parents, because she's raised kids and everything, and she's like looks at younger parents now who tell their kids don't game, it's a waste of time. She actually has a very complete opposite like thing. She tells them the story about herself, and she'll tell them, hey, this is a way to connect with your kid, because once they're grown,
Yeah.
once they're off to something else,
Yep.
you can't get that time back.
Nope. I think
And
I just saw a statistic that said in that from kid to 18, if they leave there, that's like 90% of the time you've spent with your parents. So that's a good point.
yeah, no, it is. And we will remember, like I remember the grown-ups who would play games with me, right? And I think we have Holtz. I don't know if he's in the chat right now. He plays with his nieces. We have so many amazing family gamers in the community, but I think it can have a really profound effect. And so
Yeah.
I definitely tell anytime I run into a colleague, and it's kind of a joke at work, they kind of know I stream, and they're like, video games, and I have to tell them, like, when else can you get this quality time? Like, what else are you going to do?
Right.
Like, and so I mean, I think you just reinforce that so many times in your own channel, and just like kind of the role model you are in so many different ways. And I think you glossed over this. And usually from in the show, we talk about your gaming journey from that initial console, and then we talk about games and your favorite games and so forth. But I think what you said it really fast, and some of us who followed you and stuff, we've heard this. You've mentioned it before, but you were in the battle of your life.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it was definitely like it was something that just kind of came out of nowhere. 29-year-old, and out of nowhere you just get told you have a tumor that's like the size of a baseball near your heart. At the time, I didn't. It's interesting because at the time I didn't really have much going on in my life. I was about to hit 30. I was 29 years old when I got diagnosed, and I didn't have like a career. I didn't have something that I was still at that age trying to figure out what the heck do I want to do with my life. And I remember still thinking, I was looking at schools and trying to figure out, well, what should I do, and never even thought about like gaming or content creation. I had done things like a little Twitch live stream, but it wasn't a passion of any kind. And I ended up getting diagnosed, and it was something that kind of took over my life from 2016, and honestly up until maybe last year, and finally getting the final your officially cure. It was something that really shaped me in a lot of ways, for good and some for bad, and just like just kind of having some anxiety and things that I never really had before. And for me, during the time of being sick and going through that in 2016, 2017, even mentally, it's like I took an entire year off mentally. Gaming was the thing that just kind of helped me uh, get through it. In 2000, I think 17, I was gaming on World of Warcraft, and I always have to have something in my life that kind of just gets me like going, like competing, something, not necessarily competing, but for me in that time, it was like competing. And I was playing World of Warcraft and Overwatch. I was playing both, and I was being very competitive. And I think in World of Warcraft, I was like, I think it was 2017, I was like one of the top hunters in the world. And I was really falling back on that to really just kind of help me just kind of get through it at the same time, just realizing my mental health situation. And maybe some will say maybe that's not the healthiest thing you could have done. Maybe you could have done something else. But for me, it really helped me. And that's kind of where, going back to kind of the beginning where it started in terms of the content creation, that's where I found Ace, and he kind of brought me in. And if it wasn't for him, I would not be anywhere near where I am today. I don't know if I would have even found YouTube. No clue where I would be. Maybe I'd be in school for something else, or doing something else. And he kind of brought me in and made me realize, hey, I kind of like doing this video thing. This video thing is completely different from the little live streams every once in a while I would do. And it really just kind of took off from there. And covering cloud gaming was just about a year or a year and a half after that, just covering like things like the Nintendo Switch, and just going on from there. So uh, it's been something even to this last year, that, or about a year and a half, that I've been battling, because up until I got that, like, you're cured, it's something that I would take big lengths of time away from YouTube creation, because I was just like, I just mentally, I need to just focus on this. So it's finally something that I feel like I've ripped out of and broken free of, and now I'm just kind of like doing 20 different things at once. But it's been an awesome ride. And man, the cloud gaming community, I credit Ace with getting me into the door, and I credit the cloud gaming community for getting me where I am today. Because when I first started making videos, I was so happy to see just a couple hundred people, consistently. Because sometimes when I first started YouTube, we all start somewhere. I wasn't getting anything. Nobody was really watching all that much. And they, as bad as I was at the very beginning, they were behind me. They were watching, they were liking, they were just giving me encouragement. And it really just led from like a snowball effect. It just grew and grew, and it gave me the confidence to keep going, because the cloud gaming community, the Stadia community, was always behind me, and it really motivated me, and it got me to where I was. So it's just a combination of so many people just being so gracious to give me even a minute of their time. And I've never once took that for granted, and I never will. And I never will forget all those people along the way who have helped me get to where I am. It's just been such a crazy ride that not in my wildest dreams before I got sick in 2016 I'd ever thought would happen. And I wasn't sure I'd even live to see the day. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So it's just been crazy. It's been crazy.
No, I can. I think crazy is definitely one way to describe it. I think. I think I like to say it's definitely encouraging and inspiring. I think it's another way to say. I mean, here you are, prime of your life, right? 29-year-old. I think when you're in your 20s, you have this sense of like more like, I think when you're in your, you have invincibility. Like when you're a teenager, you just don't know, right? Some people say it's invincibility, but you just don't know. I think when you're in your 20s, you know of things, but you don't think it can happen to you, right? You just don't have the life experience. You haven't seen a lot. So to hear like, okay, 29, a lot of people are like, maybe they're getting married, they're having kids, or sometimes if they're career oriented, that's where you start to take that management level. You're starting to manage multiple people, multiple teams.
Right.
For you, just because you went through it, and obviously you come out on the other side of this. What words do you have for someone who maybe it's not a diagnosis, but it is a life-changing event where you're like, okay, my life is not gonna be the same. Or I may not even have a life,
Yeah.
at this point. Like, what are, could you maybe share some of your thoughts at that time, how you worked through it, and what you wish you could tell yourself, 7 6 7 years ago?
Yeah, man, I that's a good question, and I I really don't have like any crazy words of wisdom. The only thing I can think of in my head is just, and I say this to my family all the time because I feel it every single day. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take any of your time for granted with your loved ones, with anything. And I know that's so cliche. It's very like, but I really feel that every single day. Like, I do not want to, like, if I have a day where I don't do much or something, I go back and I go, dang, like, well, that was kind of a waste, buddy. You know, you don't have a million of these, like, or a trillion of these days. I don't know how many days, but like, you just don't. So, you know, for me in that mindset, in that time, I thought to myself, maybe a little bit naive, being a little naive because I didn't know what I was getting into. And plus, like you said, you summed that up perfectly. You're 29 years old, and even when you get a diagnosis like that, you still think I'm still young. Dang it, I can fight this thing better than like maybe an 80-year-old would, you know. And it's humbling, and nothing in my life has been more humbling than that by miles, and probably nothing ever will be as close because it is. I might have been 29, but it kicked my butt mentally and physically, and I didn't expect it for it to kick my butt as physically as it did, but it did. But mentally is where it really got me. So I think I would just say, definitely rely on your loved ones as much as you can, and fight like heck, and you know, definitely don't take anything for granted, even before you get to that life event, because I think that's what happens to a lot of us is that something like that has to happen to us for us to kind of realize, shoot, like it's time to take life serious, or it's time to do those things I ever wanted to do, or climb Mount Everest, or whatever is on your bucket list that we don't have as much time as we think we might have, especially like you said, you summed it up in your 20s. You just think you're invincible. I definitely thought that. I rarely ever got sick. I rarely got anything, and even to this day, I don't get sick very often, but, I still think anything can happen at any point. So don't take any of it for granted. So that's probably the best thing I could say. I know that's not like the most wisdom or maybe
No.
inspirational, but
But
yeah.
I have Wit will attest to this if she's in chat. I have one of my managers says repetition does not spoil the prayer. And
Right.
so I think even though it may be something we've heard many times, maybe it does take that to listen to someone who really had to like face that idea that when you have that moment where you're facing your own mortality,
Yeah.
more or less, and I don't know if you know this, Sonny, but like I was in the military, and even though I was never in harm's way, my brother is a Purple Heart recipient, and I don't think I've
Oh,
told too many people this, but and sometimes he watches and sometimes he doesn't. But he was actually ambushed. He was blown up, and I think that really kind of like shook us in a different way,
yeah.
and had this idea of like, don't take for granted the time you have with people. So I think if there's a theme here, it is
Yeah.
like enjoy the time you have, whether it's gaming with people or enjoy and just make each moment count throughout your life. So
Yeah.
um but no, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and one last thing that I would just say is that it's so easy for us to sometimes just not only take for granted that time, but also maybe have a little bit of fear. Like if there's something that you really want to do, if it's like content creation or you want to make videos or whatever the case may be, it's so easy for someone to say, "Oh, like anybody can do it. Anybody could be a YouTuber, or anybody could do this, or anybody could do that," when it's coming from somebody who's doing it, and you can kind of roll your eyes at that person. And I totally get that. I would say, you know, because we do live, we don't live forever, if you get past that fear, do it. Get past it. Do whatever you want to do in this life. Give it a shot, even if it's just something as a hobby or something you just do on the side casually. You know, don't be scared to take that leap. I know that especially if it's something on the internet, I know people can be very cruel, can be very like, and if anybody ever wants to like message me and ask me how do you deal with that, I'd love to like sit there and tell you guys, because I've got all sorts of stories. But definitely take that leap, whatever it is. You want to be a YouTuber, you want to do, you want to stream live streams, do it, because it's fun. It's something that is so rewarding. And even if you're creating something and you only have a couple viewers or whatever, be blessed. Those couple viewers might have really enjoyed what you did. And it's funny, I have another channel, because I've been doing a lot of different things, and I'm doing something not on YouTube, but I make videos for something else, and I put those videos on YouTube, and they're just like product reviews. They're just like, it's something just I'm on the side I'm doing with like my dog, and my dog's got his own YouTube channel, and it's just me like covering him covering stuff, and I get like 30 views on a video, and I'm like so happy. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. 30 people saw, Sunny, my dog's name is Sunny. and 30, 50 people saw him like enjoy that treat that I gave him, because, and I love that. Like, I love that 30, 50 people. So I'm literally like, I get happy for that. So just to let you know, even a guy who you might see gets tons of views somewhere else or something, like, nah, I get happy with anything. I am like blessed, because anything could stop at any moment, and I'm gonna forever be blessed for that, so
yeah,
just throwing it out there.
No, well, for y'all, Sunny, you have, I think, across all, I know on your main channel or your Stadia channel, the cloud gaming channel, 24,000 somewhere
there, 22,000, I think. Yeah,
it's 20. Yeah, so you have that. You had on your gaming channel where you bifurcated, you separated those two, where you had.
Yeah, I have like 3 channels. I have Xbox Central, where I cover Xbox. It's about to hit 20,000, I think, in here about a month. And then I have another one called Sunny Games. That one is now my biggest channel. That one's about to hit 23,000 not too long from now. And then Sunny Cloud's at 22,000.
Wow. So across here you have 20-something thousand there. And to say that you still get, and please let us know Sunny's channel, the other Sunny's channel.
Yeah, I cover one game. I cover State of Decay. It's called Sunny Games, and that one is probably It's that and Xbox Central are now technically my biggest channels in regards to like views and stuff like that.
Wow. Well, and show us and if you don't mind, we'd love to link the Sunny the Dog's channel.
Oh no! We got to keep more Sunny hidden. No, I might sure. Like, if he cares about dog products, because I just cover dog products there.
Well, as the chat knows, I told you, I think I got Remy, a rescue dog, here a month ago. So one of my things that I'm doing is a lot of different dog treats. So I cover. I don't cover, but we test them out to see which ones he likes. So I would love to see which one Sunny likes, and
Yeah, I'm the guy to talk to about dog treats, because I try to keep it as healthy, low ingredients as possible, because I want to keep him around this earth as long as he can be. So I'd love to share. I'd love to share that. Sure.
Would love to. And I see you there, Severin. In chat, I see you all there. Just having conversation, but Severin, I see it. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you always. So thanks. And in Rouster, I totally agree. Sunny is a celebrity, as we know. Sunny was definitely just loved covering yourself. And so, you brought up the channel.
Yeah.
22,000 on that first Sunny Cloud gaming channel. Obviously it originated with Haze, and it's so funny because so many people will mention you as kind of the inspiration to start channels. They're like, Sunny was like, OG. Yeah, you come up quite a bit.
That's awesome. That is amazing to hear. That might be, if that is true, that is for me like one of my biggest accomplishments. If people have started content creation and are doing their thing because of me, that is by far the best thing I've ever heard. No joke. That's amazing if true.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, I think if keep me honest here, but Sunny would probably be half to 3/4 of the time you will be. What's even more unique about it is that you will be commented on as like you starting people's journey. Like, yo, Sonny was in the space before, Sonny's the OG, blah, blah, blah. And then that will inspire a group. And then that group will go on and inspire another group.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So I think like that is
Oh,
for sure that tons of times that has been said. And so kudos to you for
that
that.
no joke. That is one of the best in all my years of doing this. I think that might be the best thing I've ever heard. That is for
Oh,
me amazing. That is incredible. I'm so happy to have inspired anyone. And if people who know me will know, if you ever message me, I've been out there. I literally will take the time to help because I started from nothing, and I will never forget the grind it took. And so I love to help people. I love to, and like if I inspire anybody, I am so happy about that because I personally started from nothing, and it took a lot of work and a lot of research. And if I can speed that along for anyone else, I'm always there with an open like door because it is. I love helping people. As I said, it's just if people can get anything the way I get out of this, for like if they can get the same thing out of it, that is just I'm so happy, and that is like literally something I've always wanted to do. So that is thank you to hear that. I wow.
No, it's definitely it's true. It's true. And you talked about it, you just mentioned, this road. So for you, when did you start content creation? When did you say like, hey, you know, this is something I like? And then when did you, in your opinion, all of a sudden, like you became kind of the voice of cloud of for sure of the Stadia community. Like, could you
Uh,
talk to it about like that progression? Was there a moment that you ever like told yourself like, hey, this is something I like, or maybe there's a moment where you said, hey, maybe this isn't something I like. Like, what was your journey like through content creation and
y-
becoming who you
yeah,
are?
yeah. So it definitely started a long time ago where I think back when Twitch, I think its first 2 years. So that was like 2011, 12 or something like that. I started to do a couple streams. And I think I always thought like I did the streams and I liked it. And I always would have people watching. And I thought, man, I really like this. It's something that, I could definitely see myself doing. The thing with live streaming is that you're always on and you're on for many hours, and not everybody can do it. And I kind of put myself in that category. It's a beast. It's a beast to do it consistently and do it daily. And so it's like I liked it, but it didn't necessarily resonate with me like I would hope more because I think the consistency of it, you have to just be so consistent and just be on top of it. And that wasn't like my best forte at the time. I just always knew I kind of like creating content, but it never really dawned on me, oh, I could totally make this a career. I never really had that delusion, the way I like to say it. And come 2018, I think I started, and I looked at I would see Ace, and at the time Ace was playing a basketball game that I was totally into, and
2K?
NBA 2K. Yes,
Yeah,
that's actually
that's ace.
that,
That's ace. So
that's actually yep. That's actually how I started, and I was playing the game all the time. And I found him, and I saw a lot of people weren't covering NBA 2K on the Switch, and it's funny because I never really even used YouTube all that much. I don't know how often I used it, if I ever used it, barely. And I just wasn't really much on social media, and I don't know why I even went to YouTube to find him, but I found him. And somehow, some way, I would just be on his live streams. I always liked his attitude, and he would just he would always be friendly. And I don't remember exactly how he knew what I was doing. I think what happened was I thought he was so cool. I'm like, you know what? It's been many years. It's post the cancer, post the chemo stuff. And, I always liked live streaming. Let's do it again. So I started live streaming, and I remember having my own channel. And I think what happened was Ace just saw me and he said, dude, this guy is pretty good at live streaming.
yeah, you are.
Yeah, and so he was just like, "All right, let's have him on the channel." And I think what really accelerated it was he had me on his channel and I would do live streams. And he was the big thing with Ace is that he was just like, "You'll take 50-50." and you'll get paid from this. And I thought, wait a second, I'm getting paid now to do something that I enjoy doing, which is playing NBA 2K. And I was just like, whoa, that's cool. And it just kind of like snowballed a little bit. And I remember I was still very inconsistent with the live streams because it just wasn't like my absolute favoriteest thing to ever do. It was like once a week. Ironically, what really picked it up, Ace's, well, I don't know if he wants me to tell him this, but I mean, he was public with it at the time. Ace's wife basically shunned him and said, "You need to stop doing this. You're doing this too much."
I think he definitely said that. He definitely said that.
Okay, good. And so he was in trouble, and he was off the channel. And so it was just me, like having his channel, and I was just like, "What the heck?" So I was like, "Well, why don't I just try making videos?" And that's when it started. And I remember my first video where I was taking it serious because I had done like a little Let's Plays, but it wasn't like anything serious. I remember covering a Nintendo Switch game. And from basically all of 2019, I covered Nintendo Switch games. And I was covering every Switch game I could get my hands on. I was getting keys. I was covering. I was doing. I remember my first video that did really well, that was like my own, that I put so much work, and it wasn't just me turning on a camera and doing kind of like a live stream, but cutting it into a video. And I did a review, and I remember that one, and that one got like so many views. It got like 20,000 views or something, or 10,000 views, I think it was. And it just blew me away. I was like, oh my God. And from there on out, in those first like 3 months, even the first month, I was just doing as many videos. I enjoyed it so much. I'm like, this is what I love doing more than anything. I love doing videos. I suck at live streams. I'm not good at being consistent. And I was consistent. I was doing once a week a live stream, but videos was like, this is amazing. And I never knew I had this passion for video making. And it was because Ace just kind of left me the channel. And it just went
Ace
from there.
Ace has a habit of leaving channels as we speak.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, yeah, I did that for a good year until finally Ace comes to me and goes, I'm coming back. I'm like, okay. And he's like, hey, the Stadia thing is a thing. And I'm like, cloud gaming? I'm like, ugh. Like my experience with cloud gaming at the time was GeForce Now, and it was crap. It was not good. It sucked. And I wasn't a fan of GeForce Now back then. And I was just like, I've tried it. I've been kind of into it. I've always loved the thought of playing on the go, playing on my bed, playing on my tablet or anywhere. And GeForce Now kind of had that. But I was telling him, I'm like cringed. Cloud gaming, not into this, but okay, I'll give it a shot. And we decided, all right, we'll start up a whole new channel, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense. By then I had started doing my YouTube research. I had learned what I got to do, the things. I sucked at YouTube, and I sucked for many years, and I still suck to this day. I just don't suck as much as I used to. But back then I had kind of known, all right, we need to start a whole new channel. We can't keep using the same channel. And so that's where the channel was born, Cloud Gaming X, that eventually turned into Sunny Cloud Gaming. And you mentioned, I laughed when you mentioned it. When did I think you mentioned something like, when did I like become the voice or something? Or when did I like, in regards to that, you asked that, right?
Yeah.
I laughed because I feel like I never really became the voice in a good way. Like, oh, like this is the go-to guy, or this is the guy we need. I was just hyper focused on doing so many videos, and I was just always keeping up with it. I was always consistent, and I just learned to just be a little more like just not sound like a complete idiot on videos when I would talk about it. And I got into cloud gaming because when Stadia came away and I started to really learn about it, before I jumped too much, and you guys are going, he hated cloud gaming, what the heck happened? When I started learning about Stadia, I was just blown away, because I hadn't heard about Stadia at all until Ace told me and he explained it to me. And I started to, I'm like, oh, they're going to make cloud only games and they're going to do this. I'm like, wait a second, like ding, 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 this is amazing. And then I started to really get into it. And then when I first played Stadia, my goodness, I was hooked from there on out. I'm like, this is amazing. This is like as good as, I always say as good. And to this day, I still feel like it's literally the same. I never felt like I was cloud gaming when I used Stadia. And that was the biggest thing, because up until launch day, even though I had been making videos and I had been talking about it, I had been getting excited, I wasn't fully bought in yet until I tried it. And when I tried it, I said, bang, this is it. This is the future right here. I am on this train and I'm going to enjoy it. And I loved it. And that's just kind of how it went from there. Me and Ace did our thing. And then, as you know, we kind of separated, and he did his own thing again. But I mean, that's just how it went.
No, I think, and this is one of those times where I think, like, obviously, y'all separate. And to be totally honest, I think it was a good separation because you had kind of Ace had the panel, had Cloud Gaming Extreme, had was covering a lot of different things. You were
Yeah.
bringing kind of more of a humanizing way of looking at the gaming. Talking to us the latest news, and then talking to us about your opinions, and then
Yeah.
it was just really different. But I thought there was definitely a place for both you all
Yeah.
there,
Agreed.
and I don't know if you've been following chat here, but Spectrum says you're the reason
Mhm.
he stayed into content creation. So maybe not started, but stayed in content creation. You had Cherry Man here earlier saying, what an amazing content creator you are, the GOAT.
Thank you.
And Geek the Sneak coming in here and saying this, big time celebrity. So Geek is always around. So there
Thank you,
study
guys.
you definitely um you you are definitely part of many of our gaming journeys, content creation journeys, for sure. And so so a few weeks ago we
Mhm.
had Nerf Report. We had Bryant on,
Yeah.
about a month ago, talking about Stadia and talking about his journey on Stadia, right? So just like so many people who got to experience Stadia, and I know there's some people out here, Severin earlier, Cammy, Crazy Louis from Xbox International, who didn't get to enjoy Stadia. But for a lot of us, we enjoyed Stadia. We were really excited about Stadia. Obviously, we know how Stadia ended some 30 something months later after it started.
Right.
Um, I think a lot there was obviously a lot of emotions with Stadia when we saw the shutdown of Stadia Gaming and Entertainment.
Oh
We
yeah.
saw um pulling back of games. We saw sometimes, people were waiting for the AAA games, right? So Ace weren't getting the bangers. Nerf Report was saying like, hey, we were getting less information. Um, you know,
Mhm.
for you throughout this journey, and you covered everything, right? It wasn't
Yes.
just Stadia, you did cover the other ones. For you, when did you start to feel, if you felt a certain way, when did your opinions about Stadia start to change?
In what way do you mean opinions? Like what kind of opinion? Like negative? Like wasn't it when I felt like things were going down, or when things were like? What do you mean?
Well, just like you're feel right, right. I think for all of us, like for me, it
Mhm.
was like playing Destiny. Like the first time I played I don't even play Destiny, but I played Destiny. I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing." And
Right.
then there's a point, and for me, I still like I'm an indie game player, so I liked what we were getting towards the end. But for other
Amazing.
people, they would say, "Hey, I started to change my feelings about Stadia." And it wasn't that they weren't super excited about it as much. Some people started to become negative.
Right.
Some people started to question.
Right.
Like, did you ever have this moment personally, or were you like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm a gamer. This is where I'm gonna game." Like,
That is a wow. That is such a loaded question because there's so many different avenues to touch on with that. Like I can't even like it's mind blowing. I can go on 100 different like tangents on that. But you're right. There is people who really started to feel okay. This may not be going in a great direction, but that's the thing. I because the way you toned that question to begin with, it was almost like when did you feel like Stadia was going down or was bad or wasn't good or like I never felt that actually,
okay,
and
so I'm not the only
yeah,
one. Like, okay, I'm not
yeah,
the. That's why I had to bring it back to say like,
which I get some hate for that, but and I own up to it. You know, I was always maybe I was too positive, but here's the thing, like it's because people don't understand, and now today is the proof of it. But what people don't understand is I saw the tea leaves. Because you like you said, I had paid attention to everything, what everyone was doing. I was even talking to insiders who worked within very big companies, who I will not mention who. Hold on, give me a second. Sorry, guys, give me a second.
oh, Oh, YouTube's shutting us down, y'all. Sunny has said to no. Sunny, I know you said you had a dog, so
Yeah. Hello?
take your time.
Hello?
Yep. So, y'all, we are talking to Sunny Cloud Gaming, aka Sunny, aka the biggest Stadia content creator there was. He talking to us about his feelings about Stadia, kind of the evolution of that. So this is actually pretty juicy because this is the person that for any of us, oh no, is it roster? Oh my gosh, I can't tell. I can't tell on this side roster. Oh no, oh no. Okay, we'll try to. Is mine roster? Is mine lagging? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. Oh no, y'all. Y'all should have told me something. Let's see if I can bring them off. Let's see if we can do that. Am I lagging, y'all? Mine's good. Mine's my video is great. Okay, but Sunny's is. Can y'all hear him? So is it okay? Happened last interview too. It did. Was it the whole time last interview? I don't know what it is then. Oh. Okay. Well, we're gonna try. Let me see. Okay. Sunny's coming back.
Yeah, I'm back. Roster makes me feel better because he says it happened last interview. I wasn't sure if it was on my end because I'm using OBS Virtual, and I don't know if that's.
Oh, Sunny, do you want to come back in just with the link?
I don't know if it'll make a difference. I can try. Sure.
Yeah, just come back in. Well, we'll just click on the link and come in that way. See if that works.
Which link?
The one I sent on Twitter.
Okay, sure.
If you just click it straight through the browser. Let's try that.
Okay.
Yep. So Sunny's gonna try to come back in. So we're gonna try to fix it, y'all. So thanks for saying something, roster. I can hear him. All right, we're all good. But yeah, so Sunny's about to give us some juicy information because for some of y'all who did not know, Sunny actually had connections at Stadia. Like, other people would like hint at it, and some people would say, like, Sunny, he's being pretty modest now, but people knew Sunny at Stadia. He knew them. He knew games before they were coming out. He knew a lot about the tech stuff. And so this is going to be pretty interesting to ask him, in my opinion, this idea about his feelings on Stadia, knowing what he knew. This is a guy who knew Jade Raymond. This is something. All right, so here we go. All right, Sunny, we're back here. Okay.
Oh, I think the problem is with OBS, sadly. So.
Okay, so can y'all see Sunny? Is he still 5 frames per second, or is he? I don't want to say 30 frames per second because Redfall is getting tore up for that. So we're gonna say, but yeah, I think okay. Roster said it's better. All right, Sunny.
Okay.
So here we are. So thanks for much better. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's the OBS thing. It was on my end.
No, it wasn't. It was like clips in Australia yesterday, as I heard. So
as long as my audio was good, right? Everybody could hear me throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. I guess people want your expressions, your smiles. They want to see that Sunny face.
So, it's good because I'm glad the camera's working right as I'm going to go on this massive tangent about Stadia. So it's perfect.
So here we're about to get the juice. So Sunny, you were just telling us like you had information about Stadia. Not only were you reading the tea leaves, but the leaves were giving you tea. So
yeah, I was hearing things from. I guess now it doesn't matter anymore. But I was hearing. I mean, I still can't say be specific because these are friends. But I was hearing things from people in Google and things from big publishers of what was going on, and even things that were not so great, even upcoming games and games that were not coming. And I still was positive. And the reason I was very positive was because I looked at everything as a whole. I looked at everything from Luna and I looked at everything from Xbox. And I always knew that cloud gaming was something that is just not ready. It just wasn't ready for many reasons. You know, people weren't ready to adopt it. People, you know, weren't ready to accept this as a main way to play, and it didn't really offer too much outside of, you know, maybe you just can bypass some hardware. And it was going to take something like, I would say all the time, if you go back to my live streams from the very beginning, when I first started doing, as Roster would know, those 40 card grid races, I would go on big like tangents about how the biggest thing that would make cloud gaming take off would be cloud only games. When you're somebody that gets into a game and it's only could be done in the cloud, and it's showing things that have never been shown before because you're no longer limited by the constraints of hardware. Because when you have that Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, you could only make a game for those consoles, or you know, the equivalent to the PC, but it's not going to be this grand thing because they got to fit on what's mainstream, which is what are those consoles. So having those, that hardware is limiting. So I said the only thing that would ever really take off cloud gaming, and this was before when the Stadia had all the optimism in the world, was cloud only games. And when I started to see not just things from Google, but everyone else just not really jumping on that completely yet, I said, this is going to take a long time. This is going to be a slow burn, slow burn. So even when things were going negatively for Stadia and there wasn't this or there wasn't that, or, you know, whatever controversy would come up, I always knew that this was something that just was going to take a long time. It wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So anything that was negative now was just, you know, cutting costs or whatever. It's the part of just doing business. And when I looked around and I looked at everyone else in the space, I said, well, what's this person doing, or what's that person doing? You know, what's Xbox or PlayStation or Nvidia? What are they doing? Well, they're not doing much on their end either. So how can I, you know, sit there and hold Stadia to the fire if no one else is really doing much of anything else? So, you know, a lot of people like to say, you know, Stadia's downfall was for this part or this part, or there wasn't enough games, or there wasn't this. And it was literally a million factors. It was a combination of so many things, a lot of blunders from Google themselves to, you know, the biggest blunders actually coming from them. And it sucks because it really, really has like, it's really slowed down where cloud gaming is going to go, more so than it already was, just maybe before even the announcement where Stadia said they were going to close Stadia Games and Entertainment. Even before that, it was already slowing down in terms of cloud gaming just being this thing that takes off and everyone's going to use. And so it's just been, I've always looked at it from that way. I always looked at it from everyone else. I never had Stadia in its own little box that I said, okay, it's not doing this, it's doomed, or it's terrible, or anything like that. I've always, you know, there's a little bit of element of, like you said, just enjoying the service, doing it, having fun with it, and playing it, and being like, okay, I'm just gaming. And then at the same time, like, knowing things from what everyone else is doing, to even hearing people from the inside say, you know, this is what's kind of happening right now. I just knew this would take a long time, and to this day now, it's you know, Stadia closing has made it worse. It's now, it's one less competitor, and now it's going to be even slower than it already was. Maybe Xbox and PlayStation right now could have been, you know, gearing up and really pushing their developers right now for the cloud only games that they are making, and maybe they could have, you know, sped up that process to get these cloud only games going, because it's going to take cloud only games for cloud gaming itself to really be adopted. Because once you're gaming and you're playing a game that's just never been done or seen before, because it's not limited from hardware, you're going to see people go, okay, I'm doing this cloud gaming thing now. My internet's good enough now. This is happening. Or they'll figure it out because they want to play this game. Maybe something's going on in their own network. All the little tidbits that keep somebody from cloud gaming or look at it negatively. When a cloud only game comes, then that'll definitely be the shift. But Stadia leaving, just it's set things so back. And then, like I said before, everything was already slow as it was. And a big part of that was the pandemic. And a big part of that was Google's own marketing. If Google didn't F up so much like they did, and they actually put something halfway decent out there when they did their marketing, because that's the biggest thing I blame. If they would have did their marketing halfway, this thing could have been slowly ramped up more, and they could have really have pushed this gaming forward. And what I think people don't really understand, there's so many people that like celebrated Stadia going down or whatever. What they don't realize is how that set gaming back so much. And this isn't coming from somebody that thinks like, oh, he was a Stadia fan or anything. This is somebody that just looks at it from a whole and says, you guys like cheering this on is not good, because if we started to see the cloud only games much sooner and we started to see things that are beyond our imaginations, which would have been brought from that, you would see gaming as a whole pushed so much sooner. And I was thinking about this just like I think yesterday, knowing I was coming on the show. I'm like, there was once a time when I was playing World of Warcraft back in 2004, 2005, and we were doing these big raids and fighting these big bosses. And even before that, I always dreamed of being a soldier on a battlefield about to take on this evil force. And there was going to be thousands upon thousands of us players storming the castle. And I always thought, man, I can't wait to see, as a kid, I always thought, man, I can't wait to see 20 years from now when I get to see that, because that's how fast this gaming stuff is taking off. And now I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I'm going to see it until I'm like 50 or 60, because I don't expect a cloud only game to come out until like 6-7 years from now. And even then it's going to be the lowest because they haven't pushed the envelope just yet. So man, it is a bummer. It's sad to see, and I never once felt like, oh, this is going sideways in a way where, oh, Stadia is going to shut down, or I never had those thoughts. Even hearing things on the inside, I heard of things that were going down that were not like a good look, but in my mind, I'm like, this is just kind of the part of doing business, because things are going to slow down, and cloud gaming itself just didn't get adopted the way it could have if Google would have marketed the stupid thing better, because it frustrates me. Google's the one that definitely I'm mad at, because if they would have handled this better from the beginning, there's so many things I can literally do a timeline and it point to 100 mistakes they made along the way, and even things at the time as a creator I was calling them out for, and they never understood, and it sucks because they did set gaming back quite a bit, and it's a shame. It really is.
No, I thank you for the honesty. And I think one of the things I reflect on, you mentioned, not having them there as a competitor to push people. One of the things I often think about is the Stadia as a service. And what I mean by that is, and I was talking to someone, and I was like, right now to play cloud gaming, to do cloud gaming, I either have to buy the game and get an add-on to play the game, GFN Boosteroid or a couple of others, or I have to pay a subscription service and continue to pay that subscription to continue to play. So that's Game Pass, that's Black Nut, that's Utomic, or and not just on that, if I have the game it's a multiplayer game, I have to pay a service to play multiplayer. And I don't think people quite understood that like what Stadia, you didn't have that, like that idea, right? If just one of the competitors would take one of those things, right? How amazing would that be?
Agreed.
And so like I was just talking to someone about this actually, I think today, about losing that competitiveness. It actually had to do a lot with the FTC and the CMA and what they're looking at right now. But losing that competitiveness, to your point, I think really does not only bring the market back, but there's nothing to push people to push it forward. Like you talked about it from the perspective of the actual game and building a game for the cloud. I look at it just from the perspective of the service. Like there is no innovation now in services. There's nothing to push the services forward. And you basically have one model, maybe a model and a half that's still not making money. And that's all we have right now. And to me, the infrastructure to just have cloud gaming, it takes such a huge investment to begin with. To your point, I question.
You perfect segue, because I saw somebody on Twitter mentioned, I think it was Jeff or somebody said, well, now he gets to answer why he hasn't been around for 3 months. And like, I haven't had a video on Sunny Cloud in quite a few months. And you basically spoke to it. With cloud gaming right now, there is no push for innovation. There's no push for anything that will shake up the market in any way, shape, or form. Cloud gaming is now officially pretty much stagnant. You're left with services that you get to pick what you need. Do you need something where you have already games, a library of games, and you want to play them, so you go on Boosteroid or you go on GeForce Now. I mean, you have Amazon Luna, and you have a library there. And do you like those games? If you don't like them, well, there's a good chance you're not going to like Amazon Luna, right? So it's kind of where we're at now, where cloud gaming is just literally turned into the supplement, and that's all it is. It's not a main way of gaming because no one's set up for that, and Stadia was the only one that was kind of giving that type of offering. So to answer Jeff on Twitter, who was saying, well, now we get to know why he's not around. Well, it's not that, like, the daily news or the weekly news or even the monthly news, there's nothing to talk about other than, okay, there's games here and there for this service. There's nothing really like that's insanely like, oh, this is pushing it forward, or this is what's amazing. It's more of like, it's just what each service does and what who they cater to. But there's really nothing now that gets you. I think, for me personally, just being completely honest, there's nothing that gets me that excited anymore. It's just using whatever you're using as a supplement to maybe whatever hardware you're already using. And that's a shame, because cloud gaming is way better than that. It's way more intuitive and innovative, and it's incredible. And the only one that had that type of vision was Google, but they screwed that up. So now you're left with maybe the closest thing to that would be something like Amazon Luna. But I go back to what I said. If you don't like that library, or you don't like the fact they don't have achievements, or you can't have your buddies to play with, in the traditional sense of like, this is where we game all the time, it takes away a lot of what makes gaming great. And it's hard to identify with something that you use as an exclusive way. Nobody goes, I'm a GeForce Now gamer. Well, no, because why? Why? Like,
there's some. There's some.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know there is, but there's nobody, like, it's few and far in between, because you don't have that person that goes, like, I own my GeForce Now, and this is what I like. There is people who use, GeForce Now and use it as their way of gaming, but there's no ownership to that. There's no, like, this is mine type of thing, And I think that's kind of what's missing with cloud gaming. So for me, and maybe this is like an early like preview of what's going to happen to Sunny Cloud eventually down the line, is that, and I am taking my time for the record, as you guys can see, is I fully plan to cover cloud gaming still. And the way I'm going to do it is in the way that I care about it. And that's just kind of going through everything and realizing what kind of offering does this have and who is this for. And I plan to do reviews of all the cloud gaming services, but in regards to kind of having that passion, or that, like, this is amazing, it's just no longer really there for me anymore. It's more of along the lines of, I like cloud gaming, but it feels like all the services, they don't have a push to kind of be their own platform. So it's hard for me to make it my own platform, if that makes any sense. Like, Stadia did have that. Stadia was its own platform for all its faults, and it had plenty. There was a community based around it. I hate to say it, there's no community based around any other service. If they exist, they're very small, and it just isn't very, there isn't very much for me to engage with. And one thing I like doing is engaging. So it's just tough. And cloud gaming it makes me pretty sad, because it is going to happen down the line. You have Xbox, and I will definitely be on that bandwagon and rooting for them, because I know they are making a cloud only game. And that's the stuff that I get really excited for. And there's people who really just don't have a clue on how many of us cloud gamers, every one of you who are cloud gamer watching this, how much forward we were, how much like forward thinking we were as gamers, because this is going to be a big way that people will adopt games down the line. It's going to take a long time, and I don't know if it's ever going to be the majority. I don't think it's ever going to be like 51% of people are playing on the cloud and 49 are playing on consoles and PCs or Steam Decks. I don't know what the percentage is ever going to be, but I know it'll be a big chunk because it's already there. It's already shown and proved that it can kick ass and that it can be an extremely viable way to play, to even be competitive. I mean, me playing Sekiro and being able to play a game where people said, "Oh, this thing, how can you play this in the cloud? You need like reflexes." I did it. I proved it. I showed it can work, and this thing has already been here. So it's just been a lot of emotions. Like I said, I can unpack a million of the things I've already just said, but for me, for my channel, I'm still going to cover the services in more of like a review style. And maybe if there's ever something just insanely big, like Nvidia, like my last video I cover, they're pushing the boundaries in regards to the performance, and that's very commendable. And that's been the one thing where I felt cloud gaming didn't need its defense, though I know there's plenty of people who go and say, "Oh, cloud gaming isn't ready." Literally, I can just point them to the 4080 tier on Nvidia and say, "This thing runs better than what the heck you have at home." I bet money on that. I bet money on that this thing runs better than what you have. The performance has never been, for me, the biggest question. So it's there. It's one of those things that's going to be not only now is it going to be a slow burn, it's going to be a slow drag for many years to see, and that's just kind of where I've been, and I'm going to be excited in the years as things start to come out slowly, but it's going to be drip, and I'm going to cover it. I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, overall, my thing is that cloud gaming in the short term is bleak. Long term, it'll be amazing, like I know it will be. But yeah, that's just my big diatribe there.
No, thank you. I mean, I think a lot of us, obviously we all have feelings about it and where the future is on it. And I think I've talked about it. I think to me, it's more about the games. I don't have that much. I don't game that much anyway to begin with. Just
Right.
busy and
that's how it is for us content creators, man.
Yeah.
We got our normal jobs. I still have another job. This is my only job, and we still have these jobs, and we game when we can, but we still love it. So
yeah,
good stuff.
No, it definitely is. So, and you kind of alluded this. So thank you for sharing that. Part of what I'll be doing going forward is bringing, just in Cowboys and here, Cowboy was one of those people who mentioned you, I think.
Yeah.
And when he did his thing, and so I will be starting to bring back people, alumni, onto the show and ask them about these type of questions, just because half of my guest came before Stadia shut down, so I would love to hear their takes on it.
Yeah.
But so you're on game. You're looking at Microsoft, right? You're kind of like going for it there, seeing what's exciting there. And Rouster said you broke the news. I believe what you're talking about is either Kim Swift or Kojima.
Yeah.
Right. That's the news. So yeah. So that's what I thought. And if y'all did not know, Kim Swift was actually at Stadia before she was at Xbox, and Kojima. I think there's rumors that Kojima's working with Google, pitched his idea to Google first.
Right.
And so so we'll see what comes out of that. I think, there's a couple of teams right now who are trying to figure that out. I know you've been kind of before critical of Jade Raymond and her team and what they're trying to do at PlayStation, or what they're not trying to do, depending on how you want to look at that coin.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll have to see if, I've always looked at, for me, Stadia brought me back to gaming. It was a way to come back and like, this is really easy. I can just go to stadia.com, play, or be on my TV and play. And
that's the story of a lot of people, which is cool.
Yeah. But I didn't think of it as like an experience, right? The game. Like what could that look like? So, I have thought about that, but I didn't prioritize that. And you kind of gave us a preview of what's coming up. You haven't left your channel permanently, but you have been taking a break. Sunny Cloud Gaming is still there, but it's really, and I think that's something super important. Something that excites. What is it, that excitement in the cloud gaming sphere that's going to bring you back to cover that?
Right.
And so I obviously I don't know if that could
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. Like I mentioned, it's that's just kind of where I'm at now. It's just what's exciting, what's there to talk about, what's new, what's and that could be multiple things. And one thing you did mention earlier too was how there's with in regards to the lack of competition, how there's just nothing new or innovative, and that's really the truth. I mean, we were getting so many cool cloud features, even Luna doing its own thing and in that space, with their couch thing, which is really cool. And that's something that we're just those are things we're just not going to see pushed as much now, which is really a shame. So
I,
it's just those types of things, seeing new features, seeing new things, seeing new performance boosts. I always love performance. That's what literally sold me back when I was with Ace, him and I, like, cloud gaming, really, dude, like this isn't any good, and that was my experience, and it makes sense. That's why I've always been able to put myself in the minds of somebody who needs to be kind of sold on something that seems ridiculous to them, which is, cloud gaming in itself. Because I was at that point myself at one point where I just said, this is ridiculous. This thing is just not going to work. I was that person that said our internet's not good enough. I was that person that said, why would I want to do that? And I just became a believer, and that's what brought me to the dance. What brought me to the dance was the innovation that was coming out of this. The innovation's gone. Like, tell me who's innovating anything. It's really just Xbox and PlayStation, who now have no fear of competition, just kind of going in the background doing their cloud stuff, and it's not anything that they're going to even care about, if I'm being kind of honest, because they're still in the business of selling consoles for a long time. And that's not changing this generation. Obviously, they're going to have another generation, and who knows after that, but I'm pretty sure after that they'll have another one. And that's what, at that point, we're talking 12, 13 years from now. So for me, it's so hard. It's so hard to just be as excited as I once was years ago. And I know some people will hate me for that, or they'll be like, "What's up, dude? Like, we've been covering you, or we're not covering you, but we've been supporting you or something." And I feel bad, but if the passion's not there, I don't want to lie to you guys. And how can I be? I feel like no one else has kind of like that passion to kind of innovate. Like, if Nvidia decides, all right, we're going to turn this into more of a platform, more like a Stadia, my goodness, I'm going to be the number one guy there going, let's go, because they have that performance, but more than likely they're not going to do that. Or if Amazon goes, all right, let's start making this into a more serious platform. Let's get these achievements. Let's get a friends list. Let's work on our own cloud only game, because they have studios, but they're not making cloud only games as far as I know. Let's take this into the Stadia route, but maybe in a more slower way. If that were to happen, my goodness, I'd be, again, the number one guy right there, covering that easily all the time. Nobody's really doing that, at least as far as I know. And it's a shame. It's a shame. And another random tidbit for those watching, anybody who's watching, just to know what's going on with me with Sunny Cloud. The channel might be shifting. It'll be cloud gaming. I'm always going to cover it, but I think I do plan to cover a little more stuff that does excite me in almost the same type of realm with cloud gaming. So it's just kind of where I'm at now, and it's sad, but at the same time, I still cloud game every once in a while. I mostly, I think for the last 5 months, I've been playing like Project Zomboid, and I know you can do a little of that on GeForce now, and I have, and I still do a little cloud gaming here. I've been jumping into Luna, and I'm going to play all the services because I still love cloud gaming and I believe in it. And one of the reasons that I love it and believe in it too, this is just a random tidbit. I, for many years, had my my little nephews and nieces playing, and they were using my Stadia account, and I love that I was like their favorite uncle. Lately, I've not been their favorite uncle, so thanks, Google, for that, you jerks. Thanks for
Oh
that.
my
But
god.
I was just thinking about it the other day. I'm like, they technically can go on Amazon Luna, right? But the only thing is, I don't know if I want them on my Amazon account, so I got to figure that out. But
Aw.
so like, there's still so much that, like, if cloud gaming were just to be its own thing and taken serious from Xbox or PlayStation, they can convert so many gamers. And that's the thing. My little nephews and nieces, like their mom, they don't have a lot. Cloud gaming just has so many magical things, and one of the things it has is just that low entry to barrier. They were able to play some of the coolest, latest games without anything but an internet connection, and it turned them into gamers. And there's just so much magic with cloud gaming, and it's for me frustrating to see that potential is just not being realized or really pushed anymore, at least not in a serious way. It's being moved forward, but it's like it's plan B or plan C, or it's on the back burner of many other things. So yeah, that's just those are my thoughts.
Oh no, I appreciate it, Sonny. Obviously, yeah, it's tough. I think I could point at so many different things. Some of it is like, yeah, I think you said it right. I think Google messed up a lot of time. And I don't want to put the blame all on Google. I would say, uh, there was definitely a passionate team there at the stadium.
If there was two things I could blame, it would be literally 80% Google. This is coming from the guy who I feel like there's not many people who knew as much as I knew in this whole space. Not to sound like cocky or anything. It's just I would talk to people. I would pay attention to every single ounce of news. I feel like I can safely say I'm an authority. I would put almost 80% on Google, and then I'd say 20% was definitely the pandemic. And I know a lot of people like to point to the pandemic and say, well, that's when people were gaming the most, and they're right. But that goes back to that 80% where when Google first marketed it, God, could they have marketed it in the absolute worst way imaginable? It was literally the worst thing they could have done, the way they marketed it. And they never focused on the positives of cloud gaming, which was just the fact that the thing was super easy, had no hardware needed. When they first marketed, they said you had to do $100 buy-in into a Founders. You had to buy a controller, you had to do this, and then there's only a handful of games. And well, guess what? You got to buy every single one of those games, and we're only giving you 2 games for free once a month. In those early days, I was literally at the top of my lungs on those 40 grid live streams saying, Google, turn this into a Netflix, turn this into a thing, put most of your games in the library for people to just pick it up. People put streaming content with Netflix. Those two things go hand in hand. Those things are two things that people, when they think of streaming something and they don't own it, they think of it in the convenience of Netflix. That's what you have to tap into. And they didn't. They tapped into it like if it was its own console in the cloud. And while it somewhat was kind of like that, that's not the way you should have done it. So and this was me in the early days saying this stuff. I believed in it. I saw everything because I was in it knee deep, using it on a daily basis, saying this thing's incredible. And that's really where they messed up the biggest, more than anything. If there was a time machine, and hopefully they would see what I'm saying, and they would have done it the way I've said it. This thing would be on it, still here, still doing its thing, and maybe even the games would still be being created. I'm not sure too much about that, but it would have been a lot more successful. So it's just it's sad to see how it went.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I've talked to several of the people who actually have left Google, and left the Stadia team. I think my audience knows Kreen Yap is one of my mentors. And so it's interesting to hear from that perspective. And I think you're right. I think they would definitely, like I said, I don't blame the team. I blame certain individuals.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
That's how I say it. And
yeah,
that's why
not the everyday employees. No,
yeah,
not the ones that were really carrying the service down out there.
No, I think that there was definitely and I think that's a generational yeah, I don't know.
Trust me, I was one of the people who what's the head of he just left Google. Who was the head of Stadia?
Phil Harrison.
Phil Harrison. I was literally the only guy on an island going, I am not putting the entire blame on this man because we don't technically know. And that's because I would talk to somebody from within Google and would get kind of an idea of what was going on. And so I knew it was never really just one person individually. Wow. But even then, even the one person that you probably could point to and say, yeah, this guy probably has the majority fault here, I would go, he wasn't alone, So
I think you could look at Phil. I think you could look at his former boss. Actually, that's probably, we don't talk about behind scenes. But Sonny, I know, thank you again for sharing. Obviously, you are such a how should I say it? A lighthouse in the cloud community, the cloudy community. You've always been that beacon of light there, and definitely thank you for sharing your opinions on it, your feelings on it. You know, some people in the community have left. They're done. They're like, this is, I'm gone. I think you've been pretty honest that it's something that just has to bring you back, that excites you again. And for me, I you know, I still play GFN, and you know, that's how Rouster and I play virtually every game every weekend. And so, but to your point, uh, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're. I'm curious. I am excited about Netflix. I think a creative company making games is always a good thing. So I am
Yeah.
cheering for Netflix. I don't know what, you know, right now. I play Valiant Hearts, a
Uh-huh.
great game on my
It's a
phone.
great game.
But it's not
Mhm.
cloud. You know, a lot of just for
Right.
y'all to know, you have to download it to your phone. It's not cloud. But I am excited just because I get excited when creative companies do
Absolutely.
creative things. So they're actually the if I had to say, you know, outside of Nintendo, the company I am cheering for the most right now is Netflix. So to see
Yeah.
what happens there.
It's always good to have more competition in any way. That was always something that I never understood from people who kind of hated on cloud gaming or Stadia specifically just because it's cloud gaming itself. It's like don't you have no idea how you're going against your own interests even if you hate it like just ignore it cuz man this stuff can push your current set of gaming even further. So it's I'm always for competition in any way shape or form. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens coming up. I mean, I think in some ways it's an exciting time to game. There's a lot of games out
Oh
there,
yeah,
you know.
big time.
You and but at the same time, it is a you know, um, someone I was reading this in one of the official documents. Uh, there's always, you know, technology is changing in gaming. And to your
Hmm.
point, potentially it slowed down. It may have taken a few steps back. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm really excited about this next generation who all they've known is kind of like mobile gaming and gaming everywhere and connecting with their friends and gaming. And when they start to get an idea, I am really excited to see um, what they come up with because I think that's what it's going to take. You know, right now, I think a lot of the people making decisions are I don't want to say it like this, probably past their decision making
Uh,
prime.
yeah.
That's what I would say. Um, Not necessarily anybody in particular, but I would just say to your point about a console in the cloud. That's coming from someone who grew up with consoles, right?
Right.
Um, that idea, but someone else would maybe have seen it a little differently, and
And that's what gets to me a little bit. And the little things like my nephew and nieces just like they had no idea they were on the cloud. They were just gaming. They and those are that's like the generation that's going to go, well, we don't care how our gaming's coming from. And you and I started this before we even went live, talking about how it's just incredible being where we're at and seeing
oh yes,
gaming evolve over the generations. A lot of times, I think we forget where we are is how these youngest generations are actually consuming this stuff, and it's just it can be so big in so many ways. They're literally throwing on their iPads and they're gaming with the whatever games are on an iPad or mobile type game or on the phones, and they're gaming in all sorts of ways. And like you said, it really is going to be fun to see how it's going to come together even more so in the generations. I think it's just going to get more and more better. I just get a little sad and go on my little diatribe because it's like it could have been so much better quicker. That's kind of where I'm at, but it's just everything. It's just crazy to see, and we do tend to forget. I feel like younger people and how they look at it. I wonder, like how a teenager right now would go Xbox or PlayStation. Do I really care? I just want to play a game, because
I
they've
don't
probably
think
been
so.
playing on their iPads for so long. Like I just want a game. Like I think it's silly to have I'm a PlayStation or I'm an Xbox guy, or even to a degree, the one I'm guilty of is being I was a PC guy for a bit, even though I had grown up on consoles. I grew up with a Nintendo. I grew up with an Xbox. I grew up with a Sega. I grew up with a Game Boy. I grew up with all these things, and then I saw PC, and I'm like, PC Master Race. We're the best, the PC guys. We have like the best hardware and the most expensive. And I look at it now, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter, man. We can be on anything, and we're just getting such incredible experiences. And it's going to be fun, like you said, to see how it is in the future in regards to how it continues to evolve. I just wish, these Stadia would have been a little in there a little longer, and we could have seen cloud gaming, because I really think it would have pushed the envelope to a degree we hadn't seen yet. But like you said, it is exciting.
Yeah. The only thing I would say, as much as I like Stadia, the one thing, and I've been I'm going to start being more critical. I don't think, the innovator's dilemma, if you ever read that book, you know, Google, I could say this about any of the big tech companies, but Google particularly at the moment, not really an innovative company. I know, I think that, Amazon, not really an innovative company right now,
True.
and so the one thing that I'm happy for is Stadia had a lot of talent. I mean,
They did.
when you looked at that team Stadia had put together, and you looked across, let's put it against Xbox's team at that early 2019 2020 time, Stadia had a stacked team. That was a phenomenal team, and so I'm excited to see them take their lessons learned to other companies, take those ideas, and potentially really let something come out of it, in a way that even if Stadia was successful, all I have to do is just look at just any of their products right now.
That is, man, that was well said, beautifully said, because you are so correct. When it comes to a company like Google or Amazon, or even in the gaming space, an Xbox or PlayStation, I mean, technically, how much innovation are we going to see when there's people above them wanting to make sure there's money? Like, how much of a chance are we going to take? How much of a risk are we going to take to see something that can really be incredible if we want to see it? And that's a really good point. So you almost do need to look into like a Netflix or somebody that's just off this base, that's just not right there with that. So I don't know. It's a really well said and way to look at it. I'd say the only one that I come close to, and maybe that's why I cover them on a whole separate channel. It's the only one I come close to even believing in any sort of anything is Xbox, just a little bit, because I do believe in Phil Spencer a bit. But and even then, I've told you, I've outlined, I think that's going to be a slow roll, and that was just well said. So I agree with you fully.
No, we'll see, Sonny. But I know you told me you only had like an hour. We went way long at this moment, so I appreciate you taking the time. But the floor is yours. Anything you want to tell when you'll be streaming, or I know you've taken some time off. Rouster's putting your link there. I will be linking it down below.
Thank you, Rouster.
But yeah, the floor is, when can they hear you? What's your plans coming up?
Roster, thank you. My brother's doing good, Roster, and I hope your son's doing well. Yeah, for me right now, I haven't taken a break necessarily from Sunny Cloud itself. There will be, I think, a name change. I haven't fully thought about that, since I don't know if I'm going to be only cloud. I will be covering cloud. I'm always going to be interested in cloud, and I know a lot of audience will always be into the cloud, so I guess you're hearing it first. There's a good chance there's going to be a name change down the line. And I feel kind of sad saying that, but I'm still going to be covering the cloud. That will definitely still be happening. It's just going to be, like I've said in the past, it's going to be just hitting things that are just very like, oh, like this is pretty cool. This is pretty newsworthy, So that's kind of where I'm at. And I think I said that before, and I feel like I did. So I feel bad if anybody didn't get that from me, but that channel will go in a different direction, and I'm going to be excited for it. But for me right now, I have two other channels, and those I haven't taken a break from. I still cover. I'm doing content there. So if you guys want to see my Xbox Central, Game Pass, I cover a lot of Game Pass there, and eventually I'm going to cover more games just in general, and then Sunny Games. So that one's I'm going to be branching out on that one as well, and I'm excited for that. So if you just like horror type, like survival type games, that's kind of what I cover and play. I love playing that. I've been playing Project Zomboid for like 5 months, and I'm gonna cover that and I'm gonna play it. I just love that game to death. And sometimes I just like playing a game for a long time and covering it. So if you guys want to see me somewhere else, those are where I am, and I'm not going away at Sunny Cloud. As a matter of fact, my next video coming up, I've already started working on it. Already started to get the script down and do some coverage for it. Is Amazon Luna. So I'll be doing a review on Amazon Luna, and you guys will see that soon. So. And then after that, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to do Boosteroid, then GeForce Now, and I'm going to cover all the services at some point. Anything that's used by a good amount of you guys, I'm going to cover it. It's just those videos are going to be a little bit spread out, but yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at, where I'm going.
No, awesome stuff. And y'all, Rouser, again, thank you for putting it in there. We're going to link it down after the show. I'll definitely start following. I still keep you on. I'm still a member, I believe, on your Sunny Cloud one.
Oh, thank you so much.
And so I'll definitely, as it evolves and still catching you gaming. Obviously, I do horror gameplays. I haven't played this one though.
Perfect.
So, but I definitely need to jump into it.
Sure. Play some. Have you ever played State of Decay? Because that's what I cover on my channel.
So I've been playing a lot of like the narrative ones, like the Dark Pictures,
the story-based ones.
Yeah. That type of stuff.
It's funny because on that channel, I literally have like 7 YouTube channels, and I actually have more monetized channels where they're just small little channels. But I have one that's about to get monetized, and it was on the back of my Sunny games where I cover mostly State of Decay. But I'm turning that one into me covering Project Zomboid. But I'm wanting to do live streams, and I'm also wanting to play all and any horror games. I'm a big fan of all these types of games. So what I would like, and I'm putting you on the spot right now, is you joining me or even me joining you on some of these games, and we just turn that into some content. I think that would be so much fun. I would love to do that.
Be honored to do that.
I was about to say I would be honored if you would. Yeah,
for sure, we'll do that, Sunny. For sure. Let me go. State of Decay. All right. Amy's usually like my game person, so State of Decay, Amy. Let's put it. I got to practice that first. Sunny is legit, but I love how you just casually drop. Like I have several monetized channels, but you just casually drop these things. Oh my gosh,
6 of them or something. It's ridiculous.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's goals, life goals.
I don't do videos on all of them. It's impossible to do videos, but yeah,
still that's a lot of work. Well, so you've inspired us. You told us your story, y'all. If y'all have not checked it out. Just inspiring story saying,
thank you.
It's not an honor, it's not a privilege, but I'm very thankful that you're having this conversation.
Thank you for having me. And as I said before the show, I'm gonna repeat it. You are insanely awesome, and I swear, when I first. And I told her this before this went live. When I first saw her do her thing, I feel like I have. I hope this doesn't come off as cocky, but I feel like I always said I would be a better manager of of creators than I ever would be an actual creator, and I still stand by that. I can tell when someone's just got like awesome personality, awesome presence to be on a camera and do their thing. You embody that fully. I knew immediately. I saw, literally, I can tell within 30 seconds, I'm like, she's got talent. And I'm like, if she ever invites me, I want to be on there. But you are extremely talented. I don't say that to everybody. Trust me. I don't say that to everybody. You are. So don't ever think you're not in any way. I don't know if you don't think you're not, but don't think you're not, because you are incredibly good at what you do. Aww. And continue doing this because you are incredible. So I'm a big fan. Thank you so much, Sonny. You don't understand. That means so much to me. You're a huge content creator. You've inspired so many of us. Thank you so much. I think we've taken so much away from this conversation. We will definitely link up, do some more playing. And so, but I know you've given us more than enough time, more than your time. So thank you again. And just for everybody, it's about that time where I forget it. Did I forget? No, I did not. Y'all know, I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, when you game, how long you game, what you game on. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze, and the proof is in the playing. All right. Take care, y'all.
Music. Whoop.